The 59 proposals in our FoodWorks report outline a vision for a healthier, greener, and more economically vibrant city. We'll build upon efforts already in place, efforts not just by the City Council, but by Mayor Bloomberg, Public Advocate de Blasio, Borough President Stringer, and so many others. We'll invest in our infrastructure, create good jobs, and keep more of our local food dollars in our local economy. That does deserve a round of applause. We'll fight diet-related conditions like obesity, heart disease, and diabetes, and we'll reduce the impact of our food system on our environment. Right here at Food and Finance High School, students like Lazarus are learning how to build careers and improve our city by working with food. They're learning how to grow vegetables in an urban environment, how to cook healthy meals, and how to market and sell their products. In the coming months, they'll begin composting some of their food scraps. The thing at the end is a composter, not a barbecue, if anybody thought it was a big barbecue. I may have thought it was a smoker when I walked in last night, so I'll just disclose big composter. Now, once they start composting, and the big thing at the end of the stage, they're gonna send that compost to the High School for Public Service in East Flatbush. In exchange, those students who will use the compost will send the vegetables that they're growing in their 10,000 square foot garden back to the students here at Food and Finance High School. These young New Yorkers understand the tremendous potential of our food system. The proposals outlined in FoodWorks today will help our city follow their great example. So where do we begin? We begin where our food begins. New York State is home to over 36,000 farms and 7 million acres of farmland. We rank second in the nation for apple production, growing more than enough apples to meet our local needs. Yet we still import apples from Washington State and apple juice from China. Instead, we could be getting more apples from places like Red Jacket Orchards. Our food dollars could be helping them create jobs at their farm in Geneva or at their factory in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. So how can we better support these regional farmers? First, we can harness the immense purchasing power of our city government. Each year, agencies spend over $175 million on food for seniors, for schools, and for other programs. Just by identifying regional sources for products they already needed, the Department of Education was actually able to buy an additional $4.5 million in regional food since 2006. Just to put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of what 180 farm workers make in a year. Now, Councilmember Gail Brewer is going to introduce legislation, which we will pass, to require this same kind of effort at other city agencies. DOE found ways to buy more locally without additional costs. So why can't every other city agency do the same thing? We can also create more places for farmers to sell their products. Like Cheryl said, we should capitalize on the growing popularity of community-supported agricultural programs, CSAs. They allow New Yorkers to buy a share of a local farmer's crops and then get deliveries of fresh produce every week. The city already has over 100 CSAs, but many communities have been left out. So we'll work with DFTA and our housing authority to bring CSAs to senior centers and to public housing. We'll encourage large companies to start workplace CSAs for their employees. And to lead by example, we'll be starting our own CSA at City Hall. can also build on the city's farmers markets. They provide a place for farmers to sell healthy foods at affordable prices, often in neighborhoods without other healthy options. In 2005, we in the Council helped Green Markets start taking food stamps and other government benefits. Thanks to this effort, food stamp sales have increased from a few $100s in 2005 to nearly $250,000 last year. This year, we've expanded the program to 40 markets, and we won't stop until we reach every farmer's market in New York City. These are some of the important steps we can take on a local level, but large-scale change will require action on the state and federal level as well. New York State ranks 29th in the country for farm subsidies, even though we rank 5th when it comes to vegetable production. That's because most subsidies go to commodity crops like corn, instead of the healthier crops grown here in New York State. The next federal farm bill will be up for a vote in 2013, but we're not going to wait 3 years. We're going to start working now with Senators Schumer and Gillibrand and our entire New York State delegation. We'll push Congress to focus on healthy foods and direct more subsidies to fruit and vegetable farmers. If we get even additional 1% of the subsidies to New York State, it would be the equivalent, literally, of what 6,300 farm workers make in a year. That's a huge difference. Now, I've talked a lot about how to support farms in the region, but you might not realize, though the man who popped up did, you might not realize there's a small but substantial amount of food grown right here in the 5 boroughs. New York City actually has 20 farms that are officially recognized by the USDA, and thousands of urban farmers growing food in community gardens and backyard gardens, on rooftops, and even inside buildings like the one we're in today. Now, we all know that this kind of agriculture may not be able to completely compete with traditional farms in terms of price and output, but we shouldn't write them off. Remember, 40% of the fruits and vegetables consumed during World War II were grown in backyard victory gardens. So our job, it's to help the next generation of urban farmers get the space they need to keep and start growing. Towards that end, we'll pass Assistant Majority Leader Lou Fidler's legislation to create a searchable database of all city-owned and leased properties. This will, thank you, Bob. This will help farmers identify possible places where they can have farms and where they can grow food. So you started a trend. And even though we've scored a major victory, a step forward in our fight to protect our community gardens, we'll continue to work with Councilmember Melissa Mark-Viverito to get those gardens, one way or another, the permanent protection they deserve and need. We're going to be working with Councilmember Gail Brewer and Oliver Capel on an entire package, a package of initiatives to incentivize rooftop gardens and greenhouses. We're looking at ways, with that goal in mind, we're looking at ways to waive zoning restrictions, expand a state tax credit, reduce water rates, and streamline the inspection process. And while urban farming may not be a major economic engine right now, we have the opportunity to become a leader in the development of new technologies. And we're not just talking about vegetables. Right here at Food and Finance, students are working with Cornell scientists to raise thousands of tilapias, and they're raising them in indoor tanks using a space just the size of a normal classroom. As the global population increases and countries like India and China continue to industrialize, we'll need more new ways to grow food outside of traditional farms. And remember, Throughout history, New Yorkers have been the ones who've invented technologies that change the way people eat. We've invented everything from quick freezing to the Chop-O-Matic. So, why couldn't we discover the next big breakthrough that helps feed people all around the world?